So thank you very much and welcome all of you. You saw the film. It defines the mission of all our pharma companies and IPA, that is delivering life. And let me once again thank all our member companies, all the employees who, in a difficult time, have been working to ensure that the medicines are available in India and around the world. Yes, people have been taking holidays. There have been many incidences, but workers and every employer at pharma company deserves tremendous applause because they have made sure that medicines are available. This is the first program of the year. In fact, Shrish and the team has been working to make sure that during this time, although first job is making the products available, the next job is also to prepare our industry, our companies for the future. And that's why there has been a tremendous thrust on knowledge upgradation program. And this is the first of the series this year in terms of knowledge upgradation program. A very apt topic that is contract manufacturing digitalization. Because when we were working on the agenda for last year, we said it is not only our companies which are important, it is our contract manufacturers are important, our ancillary industries have been important. So all our companies have worked very closely with the contract manufacturing companies, ancillary industries to make sure that the products are available. Because if we don't work with them and if they are not able to supply what is required, it won't work. So it has been taken as a special area by pharma companies. We have also made sure that our contract manufacturer skills are upgraded and all our companies work together with the contract manufacturing companies to upgrade their skills. If we look at overall manufacturers in the pharma industry, is around 50, more than 50% manufacturing is done by pharma companies. Each company will have, on an average, large company, IPA kind of companies will have around 70 to 80 contract manufacturers. And the digitalization is very, very important. And that will be the focus of discussion today by Shauna team, an outstanding team with tremendous experience and tremendous experience of upgrading the skill. In fact, I will request Shirish to introduce the team and then get going with the program. So over to you, Shirish.
Thank you, Sudarshanji. Good evening, everybody. I think this is the first program of the IPA, and this is also on a very important topic of contract manufacturing. I think those who are doing contract manufacturing for others or getting it done from others know how difficult it is. It is actually Achilles' heel in any organization. There are problems to control and ensure that things are transparent and known to everybody in the organization. You can get a very good view of your own production or what is happening, but it is very difficult to get the contract manufacturer's view. And probably today's program will help us in understanding and digitalization so that all the information is available at just a call away or just a screen away from you. And that's what probably we'll have discussions today. I encourage everybody to write the questions in the chat box so that they will be taken at the end. And we have got very eminent panel today to take the things on. Let me introduce the moderator of the session, who is a Sunil. Sunil is a strategic advisor to Shorken. He's a pharmacy graduate with MBA with leadership role in manufacturing operations, external supply contract manufacturing, and he has worked with the Procter and Gamble as well as the Pfizer for a long time. He was a global API and Asia region external supplier lead based in Singapore. His vision is to share his rich and diverse experience with an emerging companies like Shorken to bridge the gap that exists between the current brand owner and CMO relationship, creating a win-win situation for the mutual benefit. Over to Sunil.
Uh, Thank you, Shirish, for a brief introduction. Good evening to everyone on this call. I'd like to start by thanking Shirish Belapure and Devang Saxena for hosting this session. You all for taking time to attend the session. Our panelists, Prakash Gupta and Rajkul Fulejal for their willingness to share the pain points and experience while managing brand owner and CMO relationship. And last but not the least, co-founder of Shroken, Sanjay Kubekar and Yogendra Chodia. In the recent past, I'm interacting with Shroken's co-founder as a strategic advisor. I am overly impressed by what Shroken platform offers, particularly after experiencing these pain points myself and the gaps associated with the brand owner and their CMOs that leads to supply interruption, challenges with regulatory agencies, and cost escalation. By the way, these are universal issues and not limited to Indian CMOs only. I am confident by end of this session, we will have an alignment on key pain points and good understanding on how Shroken's most important platform can help your organization in managing relationship among the brand owner and CMO, leading to a long-lasting and trustworthy association resulting in a win-win situation. With this, may I request Naren to introduce the panelists, please?
Naren.
Yeah, thank you, Suresh. It's my pleasure to introduce Prakash, Rajkul, and Sanjay. So Prakash is president of global supply chain and generic business at Wockhardt. He's a chemical engineer with 3 decades of experience in leadership positions in manufacturing, supply chain, and technology at Unilever, Amway, and PepsiCo. His vision on how technology could be utilized to manage external manufacturing partnerships led to early ideas on Shroken, but I would let Prakash speak about that. Rajkul is our next speaker, and he is Senior General Manager of Strategy and Analytics and leads Business Transformation Office at Lupin. He's a graduate of Computer Engineering and MBA from Ahmedabad. He has worked in sectors like FMCG, consumer durables, and of course, pharmaceuticals. He identified with the idea of Shroken and took a lead in establishing Project Confluence at Lupin. This program's objective is to revirtualize collaboration with external partners so the organization is prepared for scale. He will share his experiences on his journey. Sanjay Kubekar. Sanjay co-founded Shroken with his IIT Kanpur classmate Yogendra, who is also on this bridge. And he is a chemical engineer with MBA from Ahmedabad. Sanjay's career spans manufacturing, IT, and several startups. He will walk you through Amo Symphony, Shroken's contract manufacturing solution today. So with that, I would request Rajkul to start talking about his sharing of experiences. Thank you.
Yeah, so Narayan, thank you very much. This is Sunil Gokre. Thanks for introducing Prakash Gupta, Rajkul Fulejal, and Sanjay and Yogi. I'd like to take a few minutes to share my experience and challenges I saw while managing Pfizer CMO across the globe. But before I do that, a quick brief on how we manage the CMO relationship within the organization. And the purpose of doing this is to set a right context, for Rajkul and for Prakash to share, what challenges and issues they face in their organization. Just a quick update on how we manage CMO within Pfizer. We have a similar methodology of managing CMOs as we do for our internal sites. A group of CMOs are managed by a virtual site operating team consisting of operations, quality, supply chain, and other key functions. And each team member has an important role to play, and each role is crucial for a successful management of the business relationship. These teams, like the operation team in the plant, are similar teams from CMO, communicate periodically through email, conference calls, and the site visits. All challenges are discussed and addressed by these teams and escalated to their higher management if required. Now, having managed the relationship for many years for Pfizer, I thought it will be good to share with all the participants, what is the Pfizer perspective? How did Pfizer see the challenges of managing the CMO? The first and the foremost was the communication gap, either due to a little or excessive communication, delays due to time differential because we have CMO spread across the globe, or lack of understanding on what is asked for, leading to a last minute surprises and stress in the relationship. The second thing I experienced was lack of transparency and visibility in material management, production scheduling, access to quality and manufacturing data, and delivery schedules. Obviously, this impacted the resources. The resources were not optimized as we would like to. Also, the timely and accurate information to key stakeholders such as commercial and regulatory agencies was an issue due to the time lag and misinterpretation of the data. Last but not the least is the credibility among key stakeholders and productivity of the team suffer due to above pain points. Now, having shared our views of how the brand owner, in this case Pfizer, see the challenges, we also need to look at the other side from a CMO perspective and what are the challenges they saw. They too saw too much of demand from a brand owner, in this case Pfizer, for information and data transmission, excessive communication resulting into resource diversion away from the core activities, suboptimum utilization of equipment and product lines due to lack of visibility on material availability and last minute changes, higher stress among the team members and low morale. And obviously credibility is at stake due to above pain points, So I thought this will be good to get started. So I like, the panelists and also Sanjay to share their views. So maybe we start with Prakash first. Is Prakash online?
Yeah, can I request, just finishing of something else, can I request Sanjay to take his presentation first? I'll just come in.
All right, I will take it and then Prakash will get over to you. Okay. So, Sunil, I will start, followed by Rajkul, and then we'll come back to Prakash. Is that okay?
Yes, Sanjay, go ahead, please. Sorry.
All right. So I will start with sharing my screen, and thank you everyone here on the bridge. Shirish, Mr. Sudarshan, Devang, thanks for setting this up. We really appreciate your effort. And everyone, all participants here, we appreciate your time, and the interest in this subject matter. So I will start with sharing my screen. A brief 3 slides or so that describe the software that we are building for managing contract manufacturers. But followed by that, we'll go through a quick, very short demo so that you will know what we are talking about here. So the name of our product is MoSymphony. The intent is to create a symphony between the brand owners like you and your contract manufacturers. So MoSymphony is a real-time collaboration hub. So it enhances the collaboration between you and your contract manufacturers. It is offered as a web-based software, which means you or your team members do not need to install anything on your computers. It is completely web-based software, very easy to use. And training usually takes 1 or 2 hours at most, and it's pretty straightforward after that. So what does MoSymphony do? It helps brand owners like you automate supply agreements and quality agreements that you sign with your contract manufacturer. So supply agreement can be thought of as a purchase order or a schedule line or a schedule agreement that is issued to your contract manufacturers, and it defines the product, the quantity that you wish to manufacture, delivery schedule, delivery location, and pricing. This is one element which today you do probably over emails or phone calls, the way Sunil described in fair amount of detail. The other agreement we help automate is a quality agreement. And we know that there are many participants here from quality organizations. Certainly you will be interested in understanding how does this work. So quality agreement is defined by the SOPs, the standard operating procedures that your CMOs have to follow when they manufacture products on your behalf, including the documentation such as batch manufacturing records and certificates of analysis. Now, whenever a manual process is automated, we actually end up getting a very good process standardization. So that's a offshoot of MoSymphony. Sunil just described, the way presently contract manufacturers are engaged with brand owners, and we are pretty confident that you will subscribe to the spaghetti screen that I have put in front of you, where many departments within your company are engaging with many departments within the CMOs, and in many ways. So, maybe over emails, there are phone calls, there are weekly meetings. Frequently, you may send someone there, and you may employ a site manager full time to be based in the office of your CMO. So there are many ways in which this is happening, but all put together, you're losing control, you're losing visibility, and more importantly, you may have very little control over the compliances also. Our intent is to bring it to this state, which is extremely streamlined, where there is as Sunil mentioned, your internal manufacturing and your external manufacturing, have the same behavior, the same level of experience that you get out of this. This is all the slides I'm going to show. And let me now switch to the real software, because all of this has been theory. Now, where is the practice, right? So this is the dashboard of a brand owner like you, when you actually start using MoSymphony. What you see here,
Sanjay,
We are not able to see it, Sanjay.
not able to see your screen, Sanjay.
oh, really?
Here.
Okay, just one second. I shared the entire desktop. Can you see now?
Not yet.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Okay, so this is what you see here is a desktop, the dashboard that a brand owner like you would see. What do you see here? It's a consolidated view of all your CMO operations, and of course you can then say that I want to see the see the information for one CMO or another CMO. So just by selecting the second CMO, you actually get to see what you get to see the lines that have been dispatched, the lines that are probably under manufacturing. Of course, there is little data for this one, but you will see quite some data for the this second CMO, the Resilient as a CMO. Right. So, and by clicking here, you get to see the batch and the status of each of these batches. So it's a single with a single view, you have full visibility into the operations of a CMO. Sorry. We can directly access batches that are under operation or that have completed operation. And I'm going to drill little deeper into one of the batches, because what we want to show here is not just how we implement the supply agreement, which is the purchase order and the line items on the purchase order that show there, but also on the batch. We have information such as the batch number, of course, the size of the batch, quantity produced and pending, start dates, end dates, quality date, all of these details on a single screen at one go. And for a completed batch, that this is, the CMO has provided 3 types of documentation. Now this is a mandatory documentation. So there are documentation that are related to production. So reconciliation sheet or pack inspection record. These are documents that are related to production of the product. Certificate of analysis. So if I click here, I can actually download the certificate of analysis and quickly see what the contract manufacturer has shared with us. Right? So that's the second element. And obviously, besides all of that, we also get to see the shipping documentation that is provided by the contract manufacturer. So in a single screen, we have a full view of that batch from supply point of view as well as from quality point of view. Now, this is structured, information sharing. There are times when you interact with the contract manufacturers in an unstructured environment. So at the time of release of a batch, you may have some questions about how the batch was executed, the CPPs or the CQAs that were utilized. So in such cases, we also provide what we call as an immutable chat that is maintained in the context of this batch. And you can see that the brand owner Jeffrey Wilson and the CMO Ketki Varekar have had conversations. This is of course a demo system, so the information is again fictitious, but this is how that collaboration between the two parties can take place. Finally, I'm just going to switch to the CMO view because obviously what we have been looking at so far is the brand owner view. I'll switch to the CMO view and show you how this looks like when we talk about an audit report. Audit is very important from a regulatory point of view, but also from a reconciliation point of view, right? So the same batch that we just looked at is completely shown here. The entire life cycle starting with scheduled all the way, from scheduled to under production to production, all the way to dispatch and payment. The entire timestamp is available. The name of the person who made the transaction is available, as well as the details of that record. So until the batch was in production complete status, we can actually see that the pending quantity was 7,500, and then we actually see the pending quantity reducing and the produced quantity increasing. So the entire batch is maintained and audited, through this. So these are some few important features of the software. There are many more, of course, but we can work with you individually and share all that information. So I'll take a break here and hand it over to Rajkul to describe how they have done, how they are working this out, how they are implementing the system at Lupin. So Rajkul, over to you. You are on mute, Rajkul.
Thanks, Sanjay. I'll quickly share my screen. Just give me a minute for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's coming. Thank you.
Screen visible?
Yeah.
Yes, and we can see it nicely.
Perfect. So first of all, thank you, everyone. Thank you for finding time this evening and being here. Thanks, Devang, Sudarshan ji, Shirish, everyone from IPA for organizing this knowledge session. So I'll quickly jump into what we are doing at Lupin. I think we have a good context already set by Sunil and Sanjay here. And it's very brilliantly put in that noodle diagram, right? Spaghetti diagram, Sanjay.
Okay.
That's the chaos that ensues because of so many data points, so many communication channels that exist, and so many moving parts, right? So I'll straight away jump. I'm not going through the agenda and all of those pieces. What we're looking at, this is something which is real to Lupin, right? Many of you will link to this. What we see on the bottom left corner is where the brand owner sits, right? So in this case, it's us, Lupin, where there is a operations team, there is a supply chain team, there's a procurement team who are constantly working with each other while using a ERP system, right? So it could change from organization to organization, and there's a reason why I've mentioned there a ERP system and no particular system there. And then on the top right side, what we see is all the other collaborators who who enable the operations, right? So there are supply partners from raw material to packaging, and then there are logistic partners also, right? So all of them make things happen. So that's where the magic lies, right? And in center is the CMO or loan license, the partner who essentially engages with the brand owner and makes it happen, right? So I tried to simplify the slide, but still it is fairly busy, right? But what is the essence here is all these communication channels, what we see, right? I'm not sure if the cursor is visible.
Yes, it's visible.
Yeah. So all of these communication channels, what we see, right? Physical and documentation. So there is a purchase order going to the supply partners, then there is a confirmation, there are dispatches, invoices. So there are a bunch of communication happening between these two entities. Then the actual dispatch happens. And then, prior to that, there's also production plan and then material receipt and a bunch of other operations things. I don't need to get into the detail of it. But this is a typical supply chain operations where a CMO is involved, right? If it's a direct manufacturing, the CMO gets replaced by your own site or plant, and it becomes much easier because it's on same ERP. The visualization of data transactions is live, dynamic, and quick to react on. So when you build a process, this becomes a challenge when there are so many different systems working in place and so many different communication channels that exist. To merge them together from email to phone calls to messages, it's a Herculean task, right? So I'll just give a quick snapshot. We have almost 20 to 30 LL sites, loan license sites, operational in any fiscal, yeah. And there is a spend exposure of close to 25 to $30 million. And all of this is managed, the operations and the spend, by roughly 6 team players, right? So you can imagine the complexity and probably engage into this day in and day out, the ramifications of this complex ecosystem and the pressure that puts on the overall process and the ecosystem, right? So the key concerns which we keep on hearing and that keeps on repeating itself in every SNOP, and the root causes to it, essentially, right? So there would be multiple variants of this, but what we see here, the root cause being there is often delay in communication, because all these transactions have to get converted in some form. Somebody has to look into their system, write a mail, and then somebody has to read it and then react to it, right? So it's an inherent nature of the process and the modalities which cause this, right? Then there are, it's prone to manual errors, right? So what we do, we have a system where we punch in the goods receipt at the CMO, right? So that transaction also is in emails and Excels that are being shared and phone calls. So it's human nature, right? So there is very much possibility to have manual errors, right? Because of multiple channels of communication, there is chaos. We very well established that. And of course, because of so many channels which are not integrated, there is lack of traceability and transparency, and because there is time delay for information exchange, there is lack of dynamic view on inventory. Yeah. And essentially what this all means, there is delayed guidance on replenishment, and this could lead to often loss of sale if the material and the product is not available in time, right? So this is something which I believe would echo with most of the participants, the landscape and the concern areas. They vary as per the own ecosystems, but essentially this is the crux of it, what we saw, and we took it forward, right? So what were our key, is the next slide visible?
Yes.
Yeah. So what were the key drivers we were looking at, right? So we were looking to build a transparent and real-time view on inventory, operations, and the output coming out of it, right? So essentially integrate the CMO partner with the brand owner, right? So essentially make it as good as our own facility. So all of these concerns kind of gets ratified if the transparency is built. Then to eliminate operational redundancy, you see in so many communications, often the communications get missed, or something else comes up, and because there's data entry at multiple places, there is that entropy in the system which encourages redundant behavior. So it is by default that it has evolved into, right? So how do we eliminate that operational redundancy on data inputs and the execution bit? And both of these together, essentially what means is they cause implicit delays, right? How do we avoid these implicit delays? And what is required? We need a trust-based platform to have a good communication channel, which is completely integrated, right? So that's where we were leading to. And once we do that, what then, right? So this supply chain is a constantly changing world, right? It's an ecosystem where players keep on coming, going. So it has to be scalable, right? It has to be a ready system wherein when the ecosystem changes, the suppliers, the partners, they keep on changing. It should be easy to plug and play them, right? So these were the key asks we started with, right? And right now, we are somewhere on the pilot completion. I was trying to see how many challenges I discussed with everyone, but fortunately, we haven't found major challenges in terms of system deployment, right? Kudos to the teams who worked on this thoroughly before even getting their hands dirty, right? Understanding the systems. I think we've been working for months to detail the skeleton and create a robust solution plan, right? So the only challenge, major challenge which we saw was the varied system capabilities. Each partner has a different system, different ERP system or a non-ERP system, but the way it is managed, they are different, right? So this is one major concern that we have faced so far in our implementation. And of course, this is largely, this is more of a SAP or ERP integration at brand for us, largely because of COVID. Otherwise, it would have been much more easier to make it happen. But we've gone over that. We sailed that bridge, right? And we've learned a few things over there, how to pre-envisage this and get on with it, right? So this is where we stand in terms of Project Confluence, our key expectations, and actually just a couple of challenges which we could pass on. So I'll quickly mention the system variety that existed. What essentially we took on us as a challenge is we'll look at both the extremes where there exists a ERP system like an Oracle or SAP, and where there is no system, how it can be done. So two ends of the spectrum, and then everything else becomes pre-prepared, right? Kind of a plug and play to integrate. Yeah. So that's where we stand on the implementation bit. Moving on, why what we're looking at. So what I'll quickly show is I'm trying to simplify your spaghetti diagram, Sanjay.
Yes.
So, much simpler way. So what we see on the left side, we've started this journey. I understand Prakash Vokhat also has started the journey, and there could be another players who can, would be working on this. But if we do it independently, we'll need to create for each one of us our own integrators, right? Apologies for this typo. This should have been 2 and this should have been 3. But we'll have to create our own integrators because of the ecosystem we work in, right? Each one of us work with multiple CMOs, and each CMO works with multiple players, right? So it's many-to-many combination. There is no 100% overlap, but there is always a many-to-many combination, right? So this is kind of simplifying that. So on the right side, we have the CMO partners. On the left side, we have the brand partners. And this adds up to a lot of redundancy in the system. So what we've experienced so far, or what we had tried to solve so far, if that works across the board, it adds significant value to this entire ecosystem we are into, right? From brand managers to, brand owners to CMOs, we get one integrated and shared ecosystem, like living on planet Earth or living in a country. It's, of course, the cost gets divided. That's a no-brainer, but it becomes quick to implement on either side because there is a pre-existing system tried and tested. It becomes easy to plug on either of the sides. It eliminates all the redundancies which were, I was mentioning earlier, right? So creating all these integrators, they go off, right? So essentially, we eliminate all those redundancies. Another reason why we looked at Shokin more strongly, it's a trust-based platform because of their architecture, which is blockchain-based, right? So democratizing the entire system, and we call it ERP of ERPs, right? Because there's so many ERP systems sitting, right? Each partner having their own. It kind of becomes a similar structure, integrating all of these different systems and creating one platform of truth. And of course, it becomes scalable, right? So that's where we stand. This is a juncture, I think, that we all could look at and possibly scale it up, which will help each other, right? So each of these players on left or right kind of contributes to this ecosystem and makes it more stronger. So I think that's it from my end. I would be happy to take any questions on chat at the end of it. I'll hand it over back to Sanjay.
Yeah, thank you, Rajkul. This was quite helpful, and I think you set a right context. So I'm sure everybody is looking forward to hear from Prakash. So Prakash, over to you, please.
Good evening, everybody. Sorry, I just joined in. We were having some more call which overflowed. Although I could take most of the call, discussion which you had earlier. My name is Prakash Gupta. I look after the global supply chain for Wockhardt. I also am head of the generics business here. Not the brand generics, but the quality generics business. I'm not a pharma guy as a career. I worked for Hindustan Lever for 10 years. I was in PepsiCo for foods for almost 9 years. I was in Amway, I was in Fonterra. I have just a couple of years back joined Wockhardt. So pharma is relatively new for me. Supply chain is standard across. So as I joined the company and being new, there were certain things which struck me as supply chain bottlenecks here. The first one and the biggest one was a huge reliance on contract manufacturers. Like Raghu told, there were low licenses, there were third parties, but overall the visibility and the service levels, what was focus was quite poor. It was typically you give me an order and within 60 days, sometimes we will deliver. Something will be 45, something 15. But as we are moving towards a weekly, what we say in supply chain OTIF, arrivals for that, we could not really predict or even understand the service levels of contract manufacturers. There were issues of inventory. So the first one was we did not know how much exactly inventory is lying with them, even in LL, although SAP is different and physical is different. And even when we were doing third party, which is 80% of the business there, we were not able to understand whether they are ready to take the order or we were banking on an inventory which they told they have, but finally would not have. There were also pricing pressures. Sometimes it became very visible during COVID time because they said, I told you that price. Now the price is so much, the inventory is so much. So we used to have pricing pressure and we used to go into negotiation that way. Quality issues remains because I don't know, I talked to Raghu separately. We never had, in small LL locations, we never had a person stationed. So we will expect the contract manufacturer, the LL location to do the quality part. And all the documentation which they have, they would send to us. and we used to approve them that yeah, it's done as per the protocol. Now that documentation was an issue in terms of whether they have done it or we have not done it. The issues of their BMR versus our quality document, all those things were always there. A lot of reconciliation should be done. Project management was absolutely a problem because as you launch new products, their project management method and our never used to match. And overall, relationship was not exactly at a level which is strategic, which is not strategic, which is routine. These are small, these are big. It was not that way. So there were a lot of challenges, and almost, I think, at that time, around 65% of our business was done through contract manufacturers, and they were very, very important partners that way. Now, typically, if you look at it one by one, it will be symptomatic in a way, but we coming from a different background where I had seen a lot of digitization happening in supply chain, especially in the FMCG fields. I let us explore the digitization which was exploding in supply chain. So in one of our supplier visits in Hyderabad, I went up to the IT hub at Hyderabad, which is in the college, triple IT. And there, through their coordinator, I just chanced upon to meet. I still remember that thing, a meeting by Sanjay. He met us somewhere near that. Okay, let's meet up. And in a coffee shop there, he explained to me how there is a possibility of integrating the inventory, the production, the quality, the dispatches, all through the blockchain highway. And Accenture had already given us some earlier presentation about blockchain. So it all struck a sense that yes, there is a way, and this digitization was there. So there is a way where you can really have a practical way of using a blockchain. And it almost sorted out all the issues which we had because everything was immutable. It was real time. There would be less surprises that way. We could put inventory on the same system. We could manage the way Rahul spoke about visibility of where the material is at the stage of supply chain everywhere. So we got fine. And of course, Sanjay himself was highly experienced, mature, had worked in Cisco, had a worldwide experience. The good thing is his own brother also had worked for Wockhardt some time back. So he knew the pharma system as a background very well. And of course, he was very passionate about the solutions possible. I had gone to the extent of meeting his team also. Second time I went there, he had a very, very capable team. I invested in that. So we said, good. If this is the case and there is technology available, there is a leader available, there is a team available, let's start. And that is how we started. He knew we struggled actually. We struggled in the first part of our even putting the concept together. And many of the contract manufacturers did not work with us. They said, what is this for me and all those things. And Sanjay himself tried to put a business case together and make it. So there are a lot of things which we saw challenges not only in the CMO partnerships or the operations, but also in the initial stage of this project. And I think it was only Sanjay and his team who really, and his technology, everything which worked together to a stage where after almost 1 year or so, we are at a stage where we can discuss it at this forum now. And I'm very happy that Rahul Lupin also joined in, so we could have somewhere a partner whom we could bounce things on. So I think we are in a stage where, like in Lupin, we have executed that in one of our key contract manufacturers. It is working. We are now seeing the data around that for last almost 3 months. We are putting a proper business case together. This business case includes things like I'm telling you things like improvement in sales possible. Simply because we miss the month-end deliveries by around 2 to 5% from the CMOs every month, and there is lost sales. So if you can get it back even by a week, we pick up the sales for that month. So we are putting something about inventory part, something about managing costs. So if a cost has been given to us, we're able to see that. the visibility of the entire purchase to pay cycle happens to this. So there are 4 or 5 things which we are putting in business layers together, and then we'll get on with it for the rest of the contract manufacturers on this. What we expect that from these type of digitization and collaboration with the CMO, it binds us together through technology on 3-4 things. The first is definitely, I spoke, it has to give us, and it will give us, an improved business growth and much improved service levels. So customer satisfaction, customer that, and business has comes up. I'm seeing that in one of the CMOs, we are doing that. The second one is our alignment with suppliers. So we were forced that we will not do it to all our content manufacturers. We will do for strategic ones. So that asked us to segment our content manufacturers by who is strategic and who are not, and we are doing that only for strategic ones. So that becomes an alignment with the content manufacturer. You are a bigger partner to us. The third thing, because now that everything is visible, there is a much better alignment between our forecast and our supply plan to their dispatch plan and their own supply plan in terms of the procurement plan. There is a much better visibility, or even I think a much better integration around that. We have yet not gone and done the integration like Lupin is on SAP. We're taking a download and then we are uploading into a SAP. But it has really worked for one of the manufacturers which we are doing. Then came the risk management, that if we are able to see that a particular supplier has not, or a manufacturer has not given us on time or running late, then we can inform the business earlier. And if it is repeatedly not happening, there's a trend available. The OTIF numbers keep dropping real time. And we can say that we need to have either move to an alternate, or we have to go and find an alternate to this manufacturer. Of course, the communication information sharing is much better. Along with that, any quality issues which come up, we are able to, like we had an audit issue. That how do you audit the quality of the raw materials arriving at the content manufacturer? They were through documentation. Documents were not kept. So we can put it into a blockchain and we can keep it as part of auditable information. And of course, the performance management of the supplier, so the content manufacturers. These 4 or 5 things will bring about what I'd say an ideal collaboration with the key content manufacturers. We are putting it not only for LL, we are also putting it for third party. And explaining to the content manufacturer, you will also gain because you get to know to the same platform and in one screen where is your material, which stage are you in order. And this really helped in COVID period, because most of the people at the content manufacturing owners are working from their offices, not in the plants or from their homes. It gives them a visibility of where is my material, which order is where. I don't need to have phone calls or so. And that nothing can be changed, is immutable. These 4 or 5 things really helps in improving the collaboration and the business for which we are building a overall, I think, a business case. And I am very confident that with the capabilities which Sanjay's team has shown, and now that we are also partnering harder, it requires a lot of change management from our side to accept all this. And I think we will surely take it forward in this year. As we go forward, I think overall, like Lupin, much bigger than Wockhardt, has coming to take this on. I think there will be 3-4 things which will definitely come for the industry as a whole. The first of all, there is a physical capacity available with every content manufacturer, which nobody measures. We just take part of our order. We don't know their capacity. And that comes as a part of the entire planning process now. So there is a lot of physical capacity which will be available, both through visibility and also through the efficiency part, which will be available for business growth. Pharma is booming, so there is a big need for physical capacity there. The second thing will improve is capability. How much so the products the licenses are available, the products what they can make, the people improve because of the entire thing. A lot of capability improvements happens very digitize a end-to-end supply chain, especially on the contract manufacturer side. When the quality system comes onto a immutable system, I think we will get far better qualities. We had I think first time rate of around 80% from two of our critical CMOs, and we were never very sure that we had pushed them here to meet the standards of quality, it will be MHRA or PICS. We were not very sure where they are moving. Now it's available. It will be available on that highway. So quality improvement is something which we expect to happen. Of course, what we comes in speed, flexibility, and complexity reduction. These things definitely brings in for the industry if we bring all these things together. And with all this comes cost. Cost will come down. So I think overall the industry will grow. It will support growth and the maturity of the entire industry. It will improve the relationship with the contract manufacturers, ideally collaboration more, and it will definitely bring in reduce many of the challenges which we have seen specifically for Vocard. This is what I feel is their part of it.
Thanks, Prakash and Rajkul. Really appreciate you sharing your experience and insight. Very helpful. One thing, it's a very common thread is, the issues you talked about, the challenges you talked about are very similar and we are completely aligned. So that definitely help us also as Shroken to focus our activities in the future. I know we are running a little bit behind the schedule, but just want to quickly summarize this discussion and open for question and answer. Definitely the dependence on CMO is going to increase, and we need to have this kind of tool that will give more transparency, more visibility, more compliance level. Also from a Shroken side, we are also developing the product, getting the key performance indicator onto the platform so you can be able to compare the CMO to CMO. And that's what Prakash talked about, how much capacity we have, how much we need. So we are working in that direction. Obviously, it's a win-win situation. Even the contractors will find it very useful because they don't have to provide the information. You can seek the information on your own. So definitely looking forward to work with many other brand owners apart from Vocard and Lupin. But this was very interesting discussion we had. Again, I want to thank all of you. But Sanjay, I'm not sure how you're going to manage the Q&A as we have only a few minutes, but hand over to you, Sanjay.
Okay. So we haven't received any questions yet. So if any participants have questions, we still have a couple of minutes. But if not, we are available. We will reach out to you. We have, we'll reach out to you with our contact details, and of course we can work with you offline to answer any queries. I will request Mr. Narayan to close the session. Obviously to thank Mr. Sudarshan to making this possible. Over to you, Mr. Narayan.
So I think we have had a wonderful session. We have explained what MoSymphony can do for streamlining third-party operations and also bring cost savings and also bring transparency of various parameters. I must like to thank IPA, basically Sudarshan, Shirish, for making it happen. I will like to also thank all the participants who have come here. I can see that you have all been very intently listening to what Sanjay had to say and what Prakash had to say and what Rajkul had to say. I mean, it's not a question of only Sanjay saying how great the product is, but you have two people who used it and they have realized the importance of this product. And I think for all you practitioners, I think there is a great opportunity to streamline your CMO operations. And you have endorsement from these two very capable and senior officials of very big pharma companies. So all in all, I think it has been a great day. I must thank all of you for having taken time out so early in the new year. Like Sudarshan rightly said, this is the first program which is happening under IPA banner. And I'm so happy that we got this opportunity, and we must thank each one of you once again. And as Sanjay very rightly said, this is not the end of the discussion. You have our email IDs. All this information will be available to you. Feel free to reach out to us. We are very happy to come down and talk to you and discuss, your specific issues. If there's a little bit of tinkering to be done with what we have, we are very happy to do it. So the idea is we want to make sure that you are successful, and we are there behind you with our software, which is the cutting edge software as you've seen it. So with that, I think we have had a great session, and I think we should just thank everybody. Thank you.